Our mainline story today, the Lone Star surveillance state. What the world's going on with those morons up in Texas? And I've said it many times before. Is I get branded by all the gnome wokies as this far right, alt right, conservative, right wing, radical lunatic. I'm right up there with Brian Lunduke. I am proud that Brian Lunduke has to mention my name every time he has to go into how insane these people are because of that stupid unhinged mastodon. What do they call them over there? Toots. Toot it right out your butt. The whole it's if something ever happens to me, it's either Tom Morosky or Brian Lunduke. Like. Wonderful. I don't even know who you are. Okay, I'm seriously out there. But here I am today. I am going to have to throw Texas completely under the giant electric bus that California's driving, okay? I'm going to have to side with California, okay? That is how far I have been broken by the current world. But, of course, to my defense, I've always said the right has a lot of your social issues more correct. And I say more correct because the reality is there's things they do get wrong as well. Obviously, everybody gets some things wrong. But when it comes to technology, the right is so woefully incompetently stupid that it is baffling to me. That it's the one area that when you get into any knowledge of political discussions, the left generally has a better handle on technology, at least on some sense. These headphones are not going to work for me. Samsung get better headphones. Hopefully I don't need those. I'm just going to monitor my volume controls over on OBS a little bit better. Of course, what we are talking about is there is a new law that is passed in Texas, and it is set to go in effect. Now, this went so far under the radar. There is zero public comments on this. There was apparently no discussion, and even our channel, which looks for these types of things, we missed it. This law was passed. It was in a couple of articles in April. It actually passed in May, and the first articles I found on it was this one from June 5th. Only about a week or two after it actually passed. This law goes into effect on January 1st, so that is now only a couple of months away. Now, what they say here, there is a little bit of, I have to take a little bit of umbrage with the article. I'm going to be as fair as we can in here. I have read this law, and then I read all of California's laws, and I was very happy that Mr. Weiner did not actually do any of them. Yes, there is a California politician named Scott Weiner who... He writes some of the most egregious laws. He is the one behind the let's decriminalize intentionally giving somebody HIV and let's decriminalize sodomy between 25-year-olds and 15-year-olds. That guy actually wrote those bills. Fortunately, Weiner doesn't have a bill in the fight that I read this week. But there you have it. We're going to start over in Texas. Now, the article says a photo ID and possibly even biometric selfie may be required to use the Google and App stores in Texas next year. Okay. Those specific provisions are not in the bill. Okay, I'm going to be as fair as possible while still throwing Texas under the bus because this is retarded. What it basically boils down to is the new law that was signed. Was this 243, I think it is? Well, I'm sure we will get to the law. We're actually going to read the law. I think it is SB 243 in Texas. And what it requires as a brief summary is any person creating an account on any app store that can distribute apps must verify their age with the company running the account. Then those ages must be grouped into 4 categories, which are shared with the California law, which means that, yes, it is true behind the scenes, beyond all of the outward fighting, these guys all talk between themselves because wouldn't you know it, that Texas and California both have bills that say we have 4 age groups. One is under 13, the other is 13 to 16, the other is 16 to 18, the other is 18 over. Both Texas and California have both of those laws just into it, both of them passing and happening on January 1st. Isn't that fascinating, folks? Isn't it fascinating how the world system of the mark of the beast starts enforcing itself all at once from 2 completely diametrically opposed states? Isn't it wonderful? But the problem with the Texas law is that they are requiring an age verification for any app store, even if all you're downloading is a simple app. And the examples both Google and Apple gave us were weather apps or sports apps, completely benign apps. Well, outside of the advertisements you might get, but that's a different story for a different day. The Texas law goes farther than a simple age verification. You see, several states are passing things about the great PH, having to verify your age, and there has been some constitutional ruling. This is something Techlore's video mentioned this week, which was an excellent video. You should watch that one. The Supreme Court has ruled that a company can force an age verification for an adult content. What they have not ruled, however, is that age verification has to be done for everything. In fact, in many instances, when it's everything, a broad statement, a blanket, like Texas law, usually it's overruled in the court. And so the good news about this is it's likely to be overruled in the court, but like Mississippi's law, which is also overly enforceable, that one also, it's probably going to fail, but it's going to be in effect long enough for these big tech companies to already create the platform anyway, because we have to, unless somebody is wise enough to injunct it in some way that a mental baboon might shoot it down, like happened in the Mississippi case, where they literally said in the Supreme Court, yeah, we're going to allow this to be enforced because we don't agree with the premise that the injunction was done, but although we think it's still going to fail. What type of nonsense is that? It's because the powers that be behind the scene want to create a surveillance state. That surveillance state will eventually be the world system that is known by us Christians as the mark of the beast, and maybe known by the rest of you as, I don't know, the New World Order or whatever. So the age verification laws spark privacy and speech concerns, certainly involving and certainly involve uploading a photo ID to Google or Apple, may additionally involve taking a selfie. Again, there is no specific requirement in the law that forces you to do that. All right. We're going to get into the text of the bill in a moment. Users that do not agree to age verify will at least be restricted from downloading new apps or making any in-app purchases. Okay. So in criticizing similar app store law passed by Utah in March of this year, some legal scholars have noted First Amendment rights may come into play. So prior rulings established national free speech rights include the right to access public forums without the type of identity gatekeeping, something social media, news, and other apps represent. So that means that it's likely to be overturned. Rulings have noted virtually impossible to separate the process from age verification from personally identifying the subject. I'm going to get into some solutions to this at the end, because well, I think it's the best thing is for everybody in the world to understand all of this is in the guise of protecting children on the internet. When we all collectively as society agree that the internet is like the streets of New York City at 3 a.m., children have no business walking down it, then we can stop trying to protect the children on the internet and maybe just leave it up to the parents to keep their children off the internet. And this is actually where the California law does it right. California is putting a similar principle into the hands of the parents, not into the hands of the state and the big tech companies. In the red here, prior attempts to impose age verification schemes on multiple social media apps in multiple states have been enjoined by federal courts, and the state attacks and app stores are seen as some legal end around that violates the spirit of those decisions. California, Arkansas, Ohio, Mississippi, or among other states, attempted to pass similar social media age verifications, ultimately had them enjoined. But again, California also just passed theirs as well. So here is Apple voicing some concerns. The Texas bill is 2420. I think California is the SB 243. So the Texas state law SB 2420 introduces age assurance. One of the main objections is the requirements are over the top and don't take into account what the user is actually trying to do. That is what Apple says. So they are concerned it impacts the privacy of users by requiring the collection of sensitive, personally identifiable information to download any app, even if the user simply wants to check the weather or check sports scores. Okay, the more the data that is stored, the greater consequence that it's breached. Now, the law does require, it has a specific provision that it must be deleted upon verification. Of course, that's what Discord told us, and we also know what happened to them this last week. This should be a cautionary tale to these lawmakers everywhere. Discord was like, hey, you got to verify your ID. Their automated system detected that you were younger than you say you are, so you have to upload a photo ID to them, not to them themselves, but to their third party, which apparently was Zendesk, although they're not fully admitting that yet. But it seems as though the evidence suggests it's probably Zendesk. And in response to this, despite they were supposed to, quote unquote, delete all of the IDs, 70,000 IDs were still leaked. Full images of people's real information was leaked. Copies of the identity documents when, as I have said recently in the past, this is the biggest growing market for hacks and thefts, is to get access to these, because now Google wants to verify everybody. All these companies want know your customer laws. KYC laws is what you might see them as. They have the KYC laws into effect. Now the criminals simply steal a bunch of IDs, create all of this malware under your name instead of their name, obviously. And now when they're caught, it's not me, Your Honor. I don't have the bank accounts. It's Randall Stevenson. He's the guy with bank accounts. And then what happens is you're sitting there sipping on your chai latte tea in the morning. And then the FBI kicks in your door at 5 a.m. on a no-knock warrant and points M16s in your face because the hacker stole your ID from the ID verification system, like happened in Discord when 70,000 people now have their IDs out. Now, I will mention a couple fun things here. I do have a friend in California. We were talking about this the other day, and he said something asked for this. He literally took his California driver's license. I blocked out everything except, I think he kept the number on there and the birth date. He blocked out his picture. He blocked out all other information, his address information. He uploaded that, and they accepted it. So if you are forced to upload an ID, try that. Now, that might be because he's in California and not in Texas, because apparently Texas has lost their head. Their giant big Lone Star heads have filled so full, their brains fell out of the hole it created because they're insane. Of course, Discord over here, it's not our system that was breached. It was just our third party. Don't forget, it is the third parties that cause your leaks. So if any company you're dealing with is utilizing any third party for any service, that is the chain that is going to be breached. And that is kind of frightening. All right, so Discord, this is, of course, discussing the Discord. Of course, I said all that. So this is actually the bill in Texas. And my apologies, I can't make this look any nicer. I can zoom it in. There you go. That's what I can do. 180%. That's what you have to do on Texas bills. Texas, you'll need a better way to do this. So this is basically the provision of the bill. I've highlighted what is important here. When an individual in this state creates an account with an app store, the owner of the app store shall use a commercially reasonable method of verification to verify the individual's age category under subsection B. And these are the exact same age categories as we see in California's bills. We're going to see that in a moment. Now, the question is, what does this mean? So we were talking about this last night, and one of our guys found this definition. It says commercially reasonable efforts moderate to high. So they say here they shall use a commercially reasonable method. I think this is a legal definition. It might actually be up in the bill in the definitions section. I didn't check, but this is what he pasted into our chat. Requires substantial effort, but also allows for business judgment and cost-benefit analysis. A party need not take actions that are commercially detrimental or excessively costly. So it means that you can't do something so obscenely expensive. You can't force them to do something so obscenely expensive that it hurts the business model, but it means you have to try and search out a solution. I'm going to tell you what solutions we're going to see pop up that I don't think are good ideas. I'm going to tell you what I think is a little bit better at the end here. All right. So, I'm sorry. I need to cover more of the bill. So, of course, these are the age categories, 4 of them under 13, 13 to 16, 16 to 18, and 18 and older. So parental consent required. This is another very honest thing here. If the owner of the App Store determines under that section that an individual is a minor who belongs to an age category that is not adult, the owner shall require the minor's account be affiliated with a parental account belonging to the minor's or parent or guardian. So if you're using Android and your kids absolutely have to have an iPhone for some reason, well, be a better parent and tell them what they're going to have. But you would have to have an Apple account to manage the child's account. But one of the things that's interesting is that they require you to prove you have the legal authority to make a decision on behalf of the minor. So how are you going to A, prove you are the over 18 person, and B, prove you are the individual responsible for this minor? That requires a lot more information. And that is the part that I think causes a lot of issues. How do you do that? I don't know. There's a parent may be affiliated with multiple accounts. The owner of an app store, maybe not in China, but the owner of an app store must obtain consent from the minor's parent or guardian through the parent or of the account affiliated with the minor's account before a minor can download an application or purchase an application or purchase inside of any application. Okay. So under protection of personal data, they have to limit the collection of personal identification to the minimum amount necessary to verify the age, obtain consent under the section up there, basically proving you have the verification, and maintain compliance records and transmitting personal data using industry standard encryption protocols that we know are breached every single day, which is why this is a stupid bill. But of course, even though there's a later provision that says they must delete it, this is where you can actually just have multiple things. Age verification. This is what age verification means. The developer of a software application shall create and implement a system to use information received under the verification section for each user in the software application, the age category assigned to the user, and for each minor user of the software application, whether consent has been obtained or not. So that is the control. The developer of the software application shall delete all personal data provided by the owner of an app store under section 21024 on completion of verification. And that's exactly what Discord told us was happening as well. Apparently not. That's what they told us about the T app. Did not happen. All of those IDs leaked as well. How about the T for Him Act? Nope, that one leaked out as well, and there's probably more IDs that have leaked out there as well. So there is the bill, and of course it goes into effect in January. Now, California comes down and they actually release some stuff tied to their AI stuff, and some of California's bills are making sense. Now, we covered one last week that had no teeth. We talked about that, and I said this is a stupid bill. This bill here is actually a little bit, this one's growing at least a couple of those baby molars back there. So from big labs like Meta, OpenAI, more focus on companion apps like Character AI and Replica, legally accountable if their chatbots fail to meet new standards laws. So one of the things they're doing is what I've advocated for. Also, Ohio is putting this into their new bill as well. We'll talk about that in Sillyville because that bill's just crazy. It's gone cray-cray. But what California and Ohio are doing is if your AI causes harm to human, the owner of the AI system has to be held liable. Now, does that mean criminally? I would love to see that word criminally put in there. It's going to cause all these guys to slow down a little bit. Because, hey, what do we kill? We just killed another teenager. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's pay him a couple $1,000,000. No, I think if your AI is responsible for killing somebody, I think an executive, we need to start going in and saying, let's take that one from the C-suite. It'll be a random selection, like casting lots. Which C-suite executive is going to jail for the death of the teenager? Maybe that's what we should do. That'd be fun, right? I mean, keeps all each other accountable, right? It's not the CEO's job. No, anybody in the C-suite, man, you're all at risk. That'd be the awesome law. Okay, because why is this happening? Well, OpenAI, OpenAI is being sued, yes, but Character AI, this is actually a new one. I did not hear about the 13-year-old, and you guys know I'm always looking for the Character AI lawsuits. Oh, yeah. Character AI is involved in another wrongful death lawsuit, this time of a 13-year-old girl. We've previously talked about the 15-year-old boy, and we've previously talked about the person who attempted but did not succeed, all from Character AI. So this is a third one, apparently. Don't forget, Character AI is rebranding itself under, what is their name? Avatar.fx. So if you see Avatar.fx or Character AI on your child's phone, delete that stuff now. Get rid of it. Dangerous stuff. Character AI is drawing too many lawsuits, so this company is rebranding themselves into Avatar FX. Be aware of that. So emerging technologies like chatbots on social media can inspire, educate, and connect, but without real guardrails, technology can also exploit, mislead, and endanger our kids. Again, notice for the children. This is why none of this legislation should happen at all. We should all just agree that the internet is like the streets of New York City at 3 a.m, and the child has no business being there, not without you holding their hands. So this is where SB 243, it was the California bill. This one, look at this, goes into effect January 1st. Isn't this interesting? Requires companies to implement certain features such as age verification warnings regarding social media. So I looked into this. SB 243 for clarity does not require age verification. Okay. It is AB 1043, which requires age verification. We're get into that in a minute. But the reason this got jumped into this one is SB 243 is the biggest one. But as it turns out, Gavin Newsom signed a plethora of bills into law. SB 243 is among them. That's here. And this is about companion chatbots. It's AB 1043 up here by Buffy Wicks in Oakland is the age verification software, and we're going to get into that in a moment. So while there is some age verification coming into law, it's not tied to SB 243 for ultimate clarity. Okay, so companies are required to offer break reminders to minors to prevent them from viewing sexually explicit images, even though Meta still doesn't know why that's a problem. Keep your people off Facebook too, guys. Facebook, Instagram, anything owned by Meta. Get it out of your kid's life, okay? Like, we don't know why this is a problem. I mean, do we need to check your hard drives? All right. Replica, which is designed for adults of the age of 18, told TechCrunch it dedicates significant resources to safety content filtering systems and guardrails that direct users to trusted crisis sources. Here's what's hilarious. Replica is the only one of these which is explicitly marketed towards adults, but all studies have shown it is the safest for kids to use. Go figure. And then other states are trying to pass similar laws. This is about the age verification law from Politico. Monday, he signed a law requiring device makers like Apple and Google to check users' ages online, marking a win for tech companies that have rallied behind in the face of opposition. Now, the reason they liked California's bill and did not like Texas is because the way it's implemented. And I'm going to get into why that is in a minute here. So Democratic State Assembly Member, this is right here. Democratic State Assembly Member Buffy Wicks argues AB 1043 is more balanced and privacy protective than the age checking laws passed in Utah and Texas. It does not require parental consent for app downloads, nor does it require a photo ID uploads. Features other states and nations have pursued despite resistance from privacy advocates. Instead, this bill asks parents to input their kids' ages when setting up a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, then requires the device makers like Apple and Google to group the users into one of 4 age brackets. Interesting. Isn't it interesting how the Democratic states and the Republican states all have the exact same groups, and they are broken down the exact same way, by the way. This is all, these guys are buddies in the backroom deals. You know, they're keeping the government closed for a reason, guys. They're not really fighting about this. All right. Device makers must make the information available to apps like Facebook and Instagram, and app developers must request ages for the users. So for clarity, here's where Texas requires you to upload something or in some way prove your age and your connection to a minor setting it up, which is absolutely overburdensome and horribly invasive for privacy. California's law only says, okay, I am the parent. I just bought you a new phone. I'm setting up your phone and I'm inputting your age. Now that your phone has your age, and obviously since we age routinely, the phone will automatically jump into new age categories as it becomes. And now the parent is the one responsible for setting this up. So if the parent's like, I don't really care what you watch, and he just sets up your phone like you're 18 and gives it to you, well, you're just a bad parent, and but that's fine. You have the right to be a bad parent. But for all of us that want to actually parent our children right, we can go in and enter in our kids' information as we want, and now the phone is locked to that age group, and that is really what the difference in these laws happen to be. All right, and so that's why the California law is actually a much better law than is the Texas law. This is just that listing of laws, and these are actually the bills. Here's the Assembly Bill 1043. This is requires an account setup requires the account holder to indicate the birth, age, date, user of the device for purpose of providing signaling regarding it. Again, there's no verification of this on the back end. Do you trust the parent? So this is where the California bill does it right. So the bill would prohibit an operating system or provider or covered application to store from using data collected from third party in a competitive manner. So that's actually good. It has some of that. So an operating system provider shall do all of the following: provide an accessible interface at account setup that requires an account holder to indicate the birth, date, age, or both of the user of the device for the purpose of providing signaling regarding the user's age bracket, provide a developer who has requested the signal with respect to the particular user with a digital signal, a reasonable consent, real-time application programming that identifies at a minimum which group they are in. So look at this: under 13, 13 to 16, 16, 18, and 18 and older. Isn't it kind of funny that California and Texas at the same time passed has the exact same age brackets? There's a sense of conspiracy. Where's my tinfoil hat? All right. All right. And so there's a little bit about that. And 3, they must send only the minimum amount of information necessary to comply with the title and shall not share the digital signal information with a third party. Again, notice though, the similar things about these two laws is that they both require the signal to be sent from the device to the developer to the age brackets. Now, I'm not sure that's the best way to go. It's better if it's done on device, the application comes from the developer, and then on the device, the application automatically sorts better rather than sending it out. I think though that's kind of what they mean. I'm not sure. But what's interesting here is that the California one places the verification in the hands of the parent, and Texas wants that in the hands of the state. And that is where you have a dystopian character state. So, yes, sorry, guys. It's true. The right-wing conservative state is the one that is involved in the surveillance state here. I agree with that. The developer has internal, clear, and convincing information that the user's age is different. So this is if the application senses something radically different, the developer shall use that information as the primary indicator. So that is kind of maybe gives them the out to collect an ID if they need to. But for whatever reason, title does not require the collection of additional personal information from device owners or device users other than that which is necessary to comply with the law. So it does not modify or repair or supersede anything, and it specifically does not require to provide any more information. Now for completion, this is SB 243. This is just about the chatbots and stuff. Require an operator to take certain actions with respect to user operating knows as a minor, so they would get those signals from the SB 1043, including to disclose to the user the information is interacting with an artificial intelligence. I had a conversation with this last night because a friend of mine called me last night and says, "Hey, I just had to have a conversation with a robot." So it was great, and whose name was Roxanne, I think it was. So Roxanne, if you have a conversation with Roxanne, it's possibly a robot. Any Roxannes out there? Can you confirm you're an android? Let me know. With that all being said, however, what is interesting about that is we were talking and I said, yeah, it should be against the law for them to be like, "Hi, I'm Roxanne. I'm going to help you out." It should absolutely start out, "I am an AI bot." It should identify itself as an AI bot without any name, without any pretense that you're actually talking to a robot. We should have 100% law about that. You are a robot, no giving it a name. And that's actually where I think Ohio might be doing something right. So even though that is in Sillyville, because it's absolutely absurd, there are some neat things in the Ohio bill. I probably should have included it here, but it was too good to not put in Sillyville. So anyway, preventing the production. Okay. So, the app shouldn't hurt any kids. That's the basic gist of it. So there is what it is. Now, what are we going to see as solutions? There's a couple of solutions that are coming out. This one here is called the Kids Web Services. This is actually owned by Epic Games, and this is one of the tools that is being tapped particularly by Blue Sky in Ohio and other places that requires age verification. What KWS, has done is KWS has created a system that allows age verification and tying that service into an age age verified a parental account, and then they are basically that third party. Remember, we warned you about those third parties, but they are the third party that is sending those signals back to comply with the age verification law. So this is one of the companies that most likely Apple and Google, to not have to develop their own infrastructure, is probably going to adopt something like this, or they might build their own infrastructure like this, which would be even more terrifying. But what these guys allow to do, since so many kids are playing Epic games and some of these other games like this, then what they can do now is the parent can go in and create their parent account and verify that they are of age, and then give access to the kids any information that they want and get back any feedback or anything that is important for the parent to know. And so this is going to be one of those services that is owned by Epic Games. The other one, this was actually one that was used by another one of our channel supporters, where they were playing a game on Facebook or something, and the kid's like, I have to verify my age. And so it was actually through this service. Now, and this is where I'm saying that all of the things about uploading a photo ID may not be right. These services in many states allow you to verify your ID with nothing more than a credit card, because the credit card data signals to the bank you're over 18. And therefore, that will certainly work to verify your age without collecting any other personally identifiable information. So these are the two services that people are going to use. Kids Web Services, owned by Epic, and K-ID, of course, very beautifully Kid. So both of these are means that are being used by applications right now to verify ages and connect family accounts to age accounts. These are, if we are going to go down this nonsense road, this is probably the better way to go. I am less bothered by giving you a credit card number and verifying I'm over 18 than I am going to be giving you a driver's license number. I am not going to be uploading my photo ID to you. If you want biometrically scan my face, I'm going to tell you to go fly off with my two little birdies or something. But with that being said, if something's like, hey, we need to verify your age and a credit card will do, fine, cool, all about it. But I still think that this is still a problem because it's still digitally transmitted. I think we should take advantage of local institutions we have called banks, and every bank has a notary public. And I think that we need to have a system where Google can have a platform that any major bank, or any bank, since they're a highly regulated institution already, any bank could tie into that, not giving any information, but just tying in. And Google would send me something maybe on my app or maybe on my code or whatever else. I would have to take that, and that produces a very nice clean system. I would take that code, QR code, access number, whatever it happens to be, I'd go to a bank, okay? And it could be some other service that pops up. I go to the bank, and the bank has to verify my ID. Well, if I already have an account with them, they already have verified through the high regulation that banks have, which I trust a whole lot more than like PayPal, for example. The bank can go, oh yeah, and I could just go in and I could just, scan my phone, or maybe even do it through my online banking system, in which case the bank can just simply pass, fail, verify. Yes, this user brought this access account and he has an account with us, or this user brought us this access code. He doesn't have an account with us, but we verified his ID in person. The bank checks that. It's all good. I think that that's a better option because it allows us to verify our IDs safely offline. I think that really is the best way to go. So there are my thoughts about the Texas bill, the California bill, and all that other crazy nonsense. Let me know your thoughts on all of those. Do I have this right? Is this more information? Are you terrified now? What is going on? All right.